I'm a Bigfoot. I'm a Bigfoot. Literally, I have a Bigfoot.
Sam, I got 13 sized feet.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Free Rotation Nation. I am going to be introducing this episode tonight.
That's cringe.
We are going to be talking about the world-famous hide-and-seek champion of the world, Mr. Big Feet, a.k.a. Sasquatch, a.k.a. the Yeti, the Abominable Snowman, Saskets if you're a Native American, whatever you want to call him.
The OG Only Feet subscribe person.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
And we are joined here with Bobby.
Hi.
Our intrepid hero, Miss Angela.
Hello.
And our lawyer, Becky.
I like turtles.
So before we dive in, I got a question.
Shoot.
If I fuck a male Bigfoot, is it gay or is it bestiality?
Yes.
That is the correct answer.
I was outside yesterday doing yard work, and I was like, I popped in my head, like, I need another answer to this question.
Is this what you think about when you're thinking of what to talk about on the podcast? Like, if I
How can I put my dick in it?
You imply that I think before I speak on this show.
That is correct.
It just pops up my
You're
mouth.
right. You know what? I don't know why I would have assumed.
But it makes people laugh, so that's the important thing.
You know what? And you know what else made people laugh is you tickling Bigfoot's butthole.
It was pretty tight.
Okay, I'm done. That's my entire contribution to this episode. See y'all later.
Jesus.
No, Bigfoot.
No, another make-believe person.
Yeah. Any whoosel.
I've contributed to this episode.
When you're talking about the history and the theories, and again, there is still no actual proof whether or not Bigfoot exists, but that's true of a lot of things. But there have been numerous sightings in America, mostly in the PNW, the Pacific Northwest. Like 68% are seen up there.
Nice.
That's where most of the sightings have come from. The rest, the other 32% spread over most of America, typically mountainous regions. You get some in the Rockies, some in the Appalachians. Mm-hmm. But it's generally the Pacific Northwest, Canada, Alaska areas where they see Mr. Big Feets.
And this podcast is fairly well known for its love of Bigfoot, to the point that we got kicked out of a Bigfoot convention.
We did. But we got to try Nancy's that day, so it was worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, and that we met that cool guy.
Yeah.
Who's on a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
Don't remember his name, but he's got the wild, bushy brown hair. The professor.
I was high on coke that morning, so don't fucking look at me.
I was not a part of this then?
No,
so
I was very well behaved.
Yeah, we've had some adventures with Bigfoot conventions, and here's the thing. We are, I think...
We went from invited honored guests to kicked out of one.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying...
Pretty good run.
What I'm saying is, there's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories regarding Bigfoot. Angie will present one of those, most likely. Chris tends to look at it more as a scientific approach of, maybe evolution done fucked up a little bit. Or maybe they're just more superior. So,
I just want to fuck it.
And there's Bobby.
Okay. I have to tell you about the convention before we go further.
Sure.
Okay.
So, not only when we got there did they say, oh, you didn't pay for your spot. And Becky's like, bam, here's the receipt.
I'm a lawyer. I keep the receipts.
Literally, here's the receipt. So, they begrudgingly gave it to us. But, so say, at that end of the neighborhood is where all the cool kids are gathered, all the Bigfoot. They put us all the way down at the other end at a small table. And we put up our banner, our table, get all of our equipment set up. And then here comes, you know who.
That bitch.
Carol Baskins.
Was it really Carol Baskins?
No, but she was a real bitch.
Oh.
And she comes over and she was like, are you guys supposed to be here? And Becky's like, yes, I paid the extra money for a table. Well, I need to see it, please. So she just kept coming by and looking at what we were doing. And then she went and tattled to the people who own the center. I don't think they're supposed to be here. So security comes over and we show our stuff. And at this point, we're talking to, Dumbledore, the professor.
Sure.
Yeah. And they're like, he's like, I don't care. But then they were, talking quietly so we couldn't hear.
Why?
Because they're cunts.
I don't know what her problem was. I think because they all kind of knew each other, and we just didn't look the part.
Sure.
I mean, you've got Bobby,
crazy.
who's very well dressed, very nice. Didn't look a thing like the other men there.
They thought I was gay.
Becky and I were, probably, obviously, lesbians.
Oh, no, the L word. Oh.
Yeah.
It was a very strange circumstance because you would think at like the okay, so the first one we went to, fantastic. Those people were awesome.
Yeah.
And I would go back to that one anytime because it was like a very inclusive group of people. Like, let's hang out. And then these people were like, we're about to tell you the theory of why we think the number 69 is attributed to Bigfoot and his like minions. or
No,
something.
they had a thing where they were like, and now here's like Sister, Bessie Boo doing her Bigfoot calls. She was like, so I think the look on the three of our faces is probably what ended up getting us kicked out ultimately.
I'm glad I wasn't there because we would have kicked out way sooner.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have been able to
honestly,
the fuck are you doing, bro?
Like,
And
weird.
then they're clapping
Yeah.
like she's singing and then rattling like didgeridoos and like rain sticks.
Like, we're the fucking assholes here. You're the one who's fucking
I'm not
mouthing
even kidding you,
Bigfoot
Chris.
shit.
And she's just like she's an ostrich.
Here's the thing, like it's like
Please
this is,
invite me to one of
this
these.
is like one of the like this is like the deconstruction of why people think people who believe in Bigfoot are crazy. It was like the first one we went to, they were like legitimate theories, and some
Yeah.
of them were kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Angie got one of those
Yeah, but
theories.
there was a group of like I think probably 8 different speakers who presented a different
idea.
maybe a different theory.
Well, see, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the Bigfoot call / rain dance
Yeah.
is a thing. Also, my
was.
first question would be like, has that ever worked?
Yeah.
You ever drug in a Bigfoot?
I'm pretty sure
Can I
Chris
see your picture?
I'm pretty sure if Chris
Yeah.
had been there with this lady, it would have probably either gone much better or we probably would have been kicked
Well,
out.
I think
early.
Way
the-
worse.
The
Way
professor
worse.
came to talk to us, and he was the guy who wrote that book about where the thing landed in Pennsylvania. They made the Fire in the Sky movie out of it.
Sure.
So we were like, "Oh my god, like you're legit."
Yeah.
And so we're of course we didn't know this till I was just talking to him to be polite because I didn't know who he was at first.
Yeah.
And he just sat down and started talking to us.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I'm like, man, I wish I turned. But we were already packing up the equipment. I'm like, shit, we didn't get all of this fantastic stuff. And he had the receipts. He had pictures
Yeah.
and sound recordings. And some of this stuff is like, oh my God, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But they were little. That's why he thinks aliens and big feet, because he always saw little things with them.
Sure.
But I'm like, yeah, that's just fairies. That's children. I'm kidding.
So why don't we start with the more scientific side?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
You mean saner side?
No, we're gonna. You have to. You know how you have to dip your toe into the pool. You don't want to like dunk yourself
Yeah.
into the pool.
You can't go full.
Well,
It's
and the thing
aliens
about
just
that
yet.
convention is
You
I
can't, like, go
fit in
screeching.
there. Like, as
Right.
crazy as I am in my Bigfoot beliefs, I fit.
Sure.
I fit in.
I was about to say we don't need to go screeching into the.
Well, and Bobby,
theories.
like, legit believes in Bigfoot, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's something. I don't know what it is, but he
it's something.
got a nice ass.
So, I don't know. Again, I'm not of the belief that he's real or not real. I just don't know. Which is true of most things until they're proven. Again, if no one's ever caught one, never found bones,
Whatever.
maybe there is something that everyone is seeing. Maybe thousands of years of Native American traditions of having Sasquatch or the wild man of the woods, or even so far as going into Nepal with the Yeti and the abominable snowman, which are basically just white Bigfoot. Maybe these are real things. Maybe they're just really low numbered. Maybe they are. So North America, until about between 12,800 and 11,200 years ago, we had megaflora until the Halcyon Comet event, the second great extinction or whatever. We had short-faced bear, Gigantopithecus, giant land sloths, the North American lion, dire wolves, the North American camel. We had huge, giant mammals here. Then there was a huge ice age, and they basically died off. Mm-hmm. So to believe that there wasn't a large primate here, why couldn't there have been?
Right.
And if there was one, why could it not have survived? A lot of the other things didn't. The short-faced bear, which was basically a 15-foot tall, it was a massive bear.
That sounds fucking horrifying.
It was. The short-faced bear is the reason they believe the Bering Land Strait wasn't trespassed or crossed until it was, because fuck you gonna do with a 3,000-pound, 15-foot tall bear that's
Fuck right off.
carnivorous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to ruin your life.
Especially with the weapons they had back in that time.
I mean, even if
Yeah.
you
I'm gonna
give
throw
them,
this rock.
even if you give them spears and like addles,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
I'm not screwing with that thing. Like, and they think it really did hold back like North American colonization by anybody, because that thing's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we know all those things existed. We know Gigantopithecus was a thing, which was it was a large primate. We know Australopithecus existed, not necessarily in North America, but they were a large primate. There's a thing that was found a few years ago in the Congo, and it's called the Bondo mystery ape. And basically what it is there were stories of what local tribes called the lion-killing ape, but most people didn't believe it existed. They're like, yeah, whatever you say.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out it's basically a 6-foot-tall bipedal chimp that kills and eats large jungle cats.
Oh, shit.
I think I'm more scared of that than the bear.
This thing's a nightmare.
Yeah.
There have been a couple pictures of people that have, like, there's a picture from 1930 with people standing with one that they've killed, like tribesmen had killed one. But even then, they're like, yeah, it's probably just some kind of weird monkey they killed, blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently they found what's called a tribe of these things that live in the Congo that are just, these giant, monstrous bipedal chimps that are, 6 foot tall, 280 pounds that are just monsters. The local tribes have two different terms for them. One is they call the lion-killing apes, and the other one they call tree shakers. And they basically say that there's two different versions. There's like the nice ones and the mean ones. And I'm wondering if, because, they've actually caught a couple of them. They killed one and have its skull recently, like in 2003. I'm wondering if it's not like two different versions of like a vegetarian versus a meat-eating one. Like if the tree shakers aren't like legit just shaking down nuts or fruits or whatever, and the lion-killing ones aren't just,
Or maybe they're just hunter-gatherers and like they're
Maybe.
separated that way.
And maybe they're, and again, there have been stories of them for hundreds of years. They didn't actually find out they were real till, 15 years ago or whatever. So, and this is in the Congo, which is basically 1/30th the size of the U.S. And when you're dealing with areas as large as the Pacific Northwest, where these things are, if they exist, are probably more numerous, it's not populated. It's really not. Once you get up Washington, Oregon, that side of Canada, there's not people. There's just...
Yeah.
There aren't. It's just space and lots of woods. So if there is a higher evolved primate that doesn't want to be seen by too many people,
It won't be found.
it's probably not going to be seen by too many people.
Here's the thing. If you look at like the United States in general, what do they say? There's like at least 2,000 miles worth of forests in the United States that's uninhabited that nobody knows how to get. Like, how the hell are you going to be able to say that it doesn't exist when we can't even like delve into the darkest parts of these places?
So if you live in the South, there are a ton, and I say a ton, of bobcat around. When was the last time you saw a bobcat?
There's one in the backyard, but that's only because he knows he can eat the rabbits here.
Yeah, I would say that's, if you know where their hunting grounds are, you'll see them. But other than that, most people never see one.
Right.
You might occasionally hear one, and there are tons of them. I've caught 3 for my job in the past 2 years. I know they're around because I have to catch and relocate them. Most people never even see them, and there's tons of them. So, and they're just cautious. They're not necessarily smart.
Yeah.
Make them 100 times smarter and just as cautious, and you'll never see one.
Right.
It's never going to be where people can see it.
Yeah.
And then give it infinite space to run in, where there aren't people. The other thing about the Bondo mystery ape, which makes me happy, is so chimps basically have a smooth skull. Gorillas have a center ridge, and it's just one of those things they have. The Bondo mystery ape they think it's a subset of chimpanzee, but it has that high cranial ridge, like that center ridge. So the first skull they got in 2003 when the gentleman killed one, they killed it like by an airport is how they actually got it. Somebody saw it and they went out there and shot it. They thought it would have been like a crossbreed between a chimp and a gorilla, which can't actually, it's not really a thing. But because of the cranial ridge, they're like, what in God's name, this is just a mixed breed. And it wasn't, it's just they consider it a subset of chimp, but they don't even know if that's right because there's not been enough of them to study. They've got one skull. Like, maybe it's the same family. Maybe it's a different thing. And that's one of the things with Bigfoot is you hear a lot of them say they have like a mohawk or like high hair like in the center.
Yeah.
If they have that cranial ridge and longer hair, that's what it would look like. It would look like their hair in the center is taller like a mohawk. And I'm wondering if that's not what it is. Like if it's not some weird like subspecies of Gigantopithecus that managed to survive, and there's 20, 30 that are still around, and that's it. There's just not a huge number of them. Maybe it takes them 50 years to breed.
What did the brain of the mystery ape look like?
No idea.
Then we could know kind of the intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, they're smart enough to... I mean, these tribes have known about them for a long time. And
Yeah.
you're talking, there are 5 million people in the Congo. There's nowhere near 5 million people in the PNW. I mean, it's probably not even maybe a million. Maybe. And these are tribesmen that move... There aren't a lot of vehicles. They're not like... This is deep Congo tribes. Yeah. These guys aren't really hanging out in cars, and they're walking on foot.
Can you imagine he comes out by the airport to make contact and...
They shoot him.
And they just shoot him.
Yeah.
Like, he did nothing but... So if that is a smart tribe, probably going to continue.
What's the whole thing with aliens? You know, they come down and make first contact. Let's be honest. Someone's probably going to fucking shoot at it.
Well, look at
What's
stuff
that,
like...
Martha?
Exactly. I didn't want to make the joke, but you did it for me, so I appreciate it.
Well, look at like the Bondo Mystery Ape and Bigfoot, and there's one in Vietnam and Cambodia. It's called the Orang Pendek, which is basically a tiny Bigfoot. It's like they call it the small man of the woods. That's adorable. They think it's like some form of like 3 or 4 foot tall, supposedly orangutan or whatever, but it's bipedal. It walks like a man. And the stories are they use spears.
So it's like similar to skunk ape?
Well,
similar, not exactly.
They honestly, they describe him as a small, hairy man. Like, built like a man, walks like a man, it's just way smaller. Which doesn't sound really possible. And then they found, like, Homo florensis, which was, they found it in the island of Florence, in a cave, basically a subset of Homo erectus, but they were only like 3 feet tall. Oh. Just people.
And the pygmies
they were still grown adults. They were just like 3 foot tall. Even the pygmies are like 4.5 feet. They're just small.
Yeah.
These were even smaller than that. And it's like there were a whole race of these guys. And even when you hear about the stories of Homo florensis, there were tales in that area that the first people or whatever used to hunt them. They'd go out and kill them because they were... And we were tribal back then, so it was just a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like there's only so many resources, food and such. So if my tribe doesn't get it because your tribe's taking it all, we have to kill you.
Yeah.
Kind of like when the Europeans came to North America and just killed all the buffalo. Not because they wanted them, but because if they didn't, the Native Americans could have used them. Mm-hmm. So they just killed them all, so they'd starve them out. Kind of the same idea. So I wonder, like, if there are small people, which we know existed, like they have the bones, they found them. If there's stories of like Orang Pendek, the Yeti, the Bigfoot, even like the Bondo Mystery Ape, which was just a story until, I mean, literally 15 years ago. They didn't think this thing was real, and then someone killed one. And you're like, huh, guess they weren't kidding about this giant chimp that kills cats.
Yeah.
Well, there's a wildlife photographer from Sweden who's super. He's just what he does. He went to this area of the Congo where these things are known to kind of exist. It's called Bili, and he set up a biocam eating a leopard.
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
Yeah, like legit. That's what the tribesmen. The tribesmen have always called them either lion-killing apes or tree shakers. Like,
well, and to put that in perspective, when you think of leopard, that is the apex cat predator.
Yeah,
that trumps a lion.
Well, not only that, but you don't see leopards unless they want you to see them.
Yeah.
And this thing managed to hunt one down and
They're
kill
enormous,
it. Fuck it up.
fast.
Which is insane.
Smart.
And probably without tools. I mean, he probably did not have a spear, so he actually physically hunted it down and killed it, which is bananas crazy. Because I'm not killing a leopard. Not barehanded, there's no way.
No.
It's going to mess me up badly. So it's just one of those crazy things that you hear the story and you're like, yeah, that thing probably... There's no lion-killing monkey in the Congo. And then you're like, they have film of it eating a leopard, and you're like, huh, I guess there is one.
Yeah, I guess it's real.
That's mildly terrifying. But again, it's another one of the stories that, just like Bigfoot, we have stories going back to the 1700s, early 1800s, where people that were exploring saw them and described them, but no one really believed them. Like, there's whatever out there.
Yeah.
But they also didn't believe the Congolese when they said there's these lion-killing apes, and then there were. Yeah. So I'm wondering if it's not like a subset of like Gigantopithecus like we had in North America that just managed to survive the Ice Age somehow. Maybe they didn't need... Maybe they were meat eaters and didn't need so much vegetables. Like most large apes are vegetarian. I mean, silverback, gorillas, they're 99% vegetarian. They rarely eat meat. Most of their teeth are flat. They have big fangs basically for fighting, and that's kind of it. What if these things were kind of the same way? They didn't need, or the opposite. They didn't need the vegetation, so when the cold came in, they could survive off of meat. Deer, carrion, whatever, caribou. I don't know. I think it could exist, and I don't think everybody that's ever seen one's story is a lie. I think a lot of them are fake. You just have to look at it as... I look at it like every person that tells me they saw a Bigfoot is lying, and I need to prove they're telling me the truth. Mm-hmm. Versus they're telling me the truth and I need to prove they're lying, because it seems like almost every story is proven false. You had the two gentlemen, I think one of them was a sheriff up in North Georgia, that said they had one in a cooler, and then it turned out to be like a Bigfoot suit that he'd stuffed with possum.
Mm-hmm. Very North Georgian of him to use the possum to stuff it.
I think he actually got fired. I think he was a sheriff and he got fired. Like, he went on CNN and told everybody he had a Bigfoot that he had killed, but it was like a suit that he had stuffed with just roadkill.
Right. And you would think at some point, you would think to yourself, somebody is going to figure out that this is a fake Bigfoot, because everybody's going to be like, I want to dissect it.
Anybody that looks at it actually gets to see it is going to be like, well, this is clearly a fur suit.
Man, this is a nice little spirit Halloween suit you bought for Halloween.
Yeah.
But I mean, you hear stories like that. You hear the guys that make like the cast, even the Gimbal film. On his deathbed, he basically said, we faked it, which sucks because it's like the most famous Bigfoot film ever. And you're like,
He had to discredit it at that point.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, this is probably not real. There's a story of the, what were they called? The construction workers that found the Bigfoot prints in 68, I think, or 58. And they made the castings, and they said, we saw a bunch of like 8 foot tall, hairy monsters, blah, blah, blah. It turns out it was the foreman playing a prank on them. And like, there's so many of those stories versus the real ones.
Right.
And I wonder how many of those, I look at it just like I look at alien abductions or I saw a ghost or whatever. I assume you're lying until I can prove it's true. And
fair.
It's the opposite way that science is supposed to kind of work. But it's how you have to work these stories, because most of them are just lies.
Well, you don't want to also like get your hopes up and then only for it to be quickly dashed when it turns out that it's all fake to begin with.
Well, I look at it like Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar said he worked at Area S4 in Area 51. Everything he said sounds like a lie. Mm-hmm. But everything he said is, when he's like, I worked at Los Alamos, and they looked up his records, there's no proof. He's like, well, the government's erasing my past. And you're like, well, this guy's clearly lying. Then they find a directory with his name in it in like 83. And you're like, huh, guess he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
They erased him from going to MIT, and then they find a yearbook with his picture in it. And you're like, huh. Like, I have to assume he's lying, but everything he's saying is being proven truthful. Yeah. I'm like, oh, guess Bob Lazar is just telling the truth, because everything he said has been proven. Yep. Bigfoot people the same way. I assume every one of them's lying until they can prove it. You can tell me you heard a bunch of weird stuff at night. I've heard a lot of weird stuff at night that I can't explain, and I know the natural world around here. There are things I don't know. Yeah. I'll take that. I'm not saying it's a Bigfoot. I'm not saying it's a demon. I'm saying I don't know.
I just I'm sort of the same way about things like that, where I just rather believe it. I would rather just accept that they're probably real, and if I never see one, I never see one. Yeah. But if one comes out of the woods at me trying to speak to me, hey, at least I'm not shocked when it happens.
Fair.
Because, hey, okay.
I'm going to hit it with my car.
Which, you're going to go to Oklahoma where they're going to have you, you can hunt the Bigfoot.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, in Oklahoma, they have a reward for you to hunt Bigfoot. If you bring back a live Bigfoot, you get a reward.
That's fucking difficult.
I promise.
It's huge.
If I kill a Bigfoot, I don't need it alive.
Maybe, I don't know if it was live, but basically, if you can bring back a Bigfoot.
My plan is to go to the CNN building and live auction this thing off to the highest bidder.
Fair.
Believe me, there's a reward involved. I killed the one Bigfoot who wants it. Someone's going to come up with some money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you also say you wanted to cook Bigfoot?
Just a little bit.
I want to try it.
Just a taste.
I want to try it.
I want to kill. I don't want to kill every endangered animal, but I would like to taste every one of them. Just to see.
Yeah. Bigfoot jerky.
Just a taste.
Well, I have this theory that everything that tastes good, we've domesticated and made readily available for meat. So deer, whatever, venison's fine. It's super lean, so you can't really eat a lot of it. Cow, on the other hand, eat as much as you want. It's delicious. goat, pig, lamb, chicken, all these things are the fattier meats. So like even rabbit, like rabbit's really good, but if the only meat you eat is rabbit, you'll starve to death. It's called rabbit starvation. Mm-hmm. There's not enough fat on it to give you enough nutrients. So I look at a lot of these things like that. Like I wonder if they're good to eat. They're just not livable.
Yeah.
So like I want to try all of them. Like
even a big fight.
Yeah, everything.
Even a footy foot.
Someone shoots a unicorn. I'll be like, yeah, can I get a quarter? Yeah. For real.
I want the horn. Don't ask what I want it for.
Is that a Komodo dragon? Why don't we put it over the spit here and let's see what's happening?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. And I won't know unless I try it, and I'm willing to try it.
Mm.
All right. It's your time to shine. It's your turn. Bring out your theory. Bring out what you learned at the Bigfoot Convention.
I'm down.
Do it. Me and Bobby have heard it. We were there, physically there when it happened.
And I was amazed and shocked.
And honestly, I think we were
okay. That lady was really
it's fun.
believable.
I'm pretty sure
I
you
believed
two
her.
were on it.
I was in it. The only person I didn't believe that Bigfoot conference is that fucking asshole at the end.
The reverend who was like, it's the devil.
But she works for the government.
Yeah.
Like this was a government official up there saying we have made a direct correlation between aliens and Bigfoot.
And now will you explain
And we
it?
can verify both of them.
Go ahead.
Like, that's huge.
Explain to the audience.
I'm just going to stare at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, I probably am. Well, the other thing we can't prove, but has been cited multiple times, are aliens. One of the speakers at the first Bigfoot convention we went to, which really captured all of our attention, was she worked for the government, and she made a direct correlation between the fact that every time there's a UFO sightings, there is also Bigfoot sightings that come in at the exact same time. So anytime they get along the eastern seaboard, especially Pennsylvania, we see lights in the sky, and they get multiple calls. They also at the same time get multiple calls about Bigfoot sightings. So back in the 1950s, 1960s, they started investigating this. And then the fire in the sky event happened. And one of the things that most people don't realize about that is that when the alien, so people actually were at a field where a craft had landed. Hundreds of people saw it. The sheriff was there. He saw it. The craft opened up and aliens walked out. And then for some reason, they ended up turning around and going back in. But what also came out of the craft that the people saw were Bigfoot. So they saw the tall Bigfoot come out and the smaller aliens. Bigfoot stayed. Aliens went back into the craft and left. So I started thinking, that really is an unusual correlation. So I started looking into it. And sure enough, if you cross-reference the dates, anytime there's a UFO sightings, there's Bigfoot sightings, like a dramatic increase. So there's this theory that Bigfoot are... so the new way of thinking is that Bigfoot are actually aliens. It's an alien disguise here. They hide out, which I don't know if I kind of believe that. I think that alien and Bigfoot probably do talk. If the aliens were to find the most intelligent species, I don't think it's us. I really don't.
I think it's dolphins.
How many people could actually survive if we were put out of our homes? And I think more people would surprise themselves than they think that their ability to survive. But we would probably immediately resort to chaos, looting, killing, cannibalism.
It does also explain the idea of there is a lot of theories with Bigfoot that they can mind speak.
Yes. That and not only that, but they can shift, they can phase out because there was a famous scientist, physicist who said basically we live side by side a dual world. They exist on the exact same plane at a different vibratory level. And that Bigfoot has the ability to phase shift between the two. Just like the aliens do. It's just they're much more advanced on this side than we are. And so Bigfoot phase shifts. He knows how to do that. There was a lady who, she was a little cray, but she was also very believable, to the point that CNN has had her on. Travel Channel has done things on her, and they really can't disprove the stuff she says. Can't quite prove it, but they can't disprove it. And she said that, the big feet, she always knows when they're out there because they'll mind speak to her. They don't speak in words like we use, but basically hey, open your window. She said they like to eat cereal, Bananas dog.
Oh,
And there's been a lot.
out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
it's apparently one of their favorite foods. And that's something that I've actually found in multiple accounts is that, and maybe she picked it up from there too, but that they really will eat your dog. They'll pick up dogs and like sling them into a tree and drag them off. So you don't want to keep your dogs out if you think Bigfoot's there.
I'll fuck up Bigfoot. He touches guts. I'll fuck him up.
Yeah.
I'll
But
beat the
she
shit out
said,
of
you
him.
know, they come into her yard and she knows they're there because they mind speak to her and call her out to follow them. And then she'll see them like shimmer. It kind of like they were there the whole time, but her eyes just didn't see it. And then they adjust to it. And she said they walk around her property. She leaves gifts out for them. And then she's come home before and they've been in her house. And they make terrible messes. They have no sense of respect. But she said those are usually the outlying Bigfoot. And they actually kick their bad seeds from their communities.
Get a fucking elephant gun and fuck them up.
I
Yeah.
just think it's interesting
it.
because
I'm
it's
out.
like it's a whole society. It was similar
Yeah.
to the guy we
Yeah.
saw at the second Bigfoot convention who basically said their society, they're like a societal creature.
Right. And it seems like they're a matriarchy. So they do have an alpha female usually who will have a partner. And they don't have a lot of children very often. So when they do, they're very protective. But the younger juvenile Bigfoot are the ones you usually see because they're very curious and innocent. They haven't learned yet that you should be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
And that they're very particular about who they speak to, but that you'll definitely know if a Bigfoot's mind speaking to you. I used to go to the back door and be like, "Hey."
No, no. If they start mind speaking to me, I'm fucking out. I'm leaving. Fuck
I'm
that.
not speaking
I'm
to
out.
anything.
Fuck that. Fuck that shit. I'm out.
So,
Like,
like-
why?
My question for her would be, do you got a picture?
She's got pictures, and like a lot of people say, you know, they're faked and stuff. So she's like, I can't prove a picture's real. Like they've proven that the pictures aren't tampered with, but like, is it somebody in a suit? It doesn't seem to be. But she's like, how can I go back and now prove that? She's like, I took a picture and a video. I don't know what more you want. And that's what she says is that it doesn't matter what proof you provide. People will always disbelieve it if it's in them to disbelieve it. I just thought she sounded a little crazy because she was sounding like she was kind of in love with
Well, here's the
him.
thing is, it's
She
like,
just
yeah, she did kind of sound
sounded
like
a
she
little
was
nuts.
infatuated. But at the same time, she was very convinced of it. So that's the other thing that's a little disconcerting because even if it's a mental health issue, she was so convinced about the existence of this, that they were mind speaking with her, that there was nothing you probably could say to say, maybe you're just a little crazy. Well, at the same time, we can't say she
At the
was
same
because
time,
we
she
didn't
had
see it.
like
Yeah, but if she's
5 albums full of pictures.
But if she's schizophrenic, you'll never convince her no matter what. 'Cause
Yeah.
she believes
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah.
So to her, it is. So it doesn't matter even if you can see like zippers on the outfits, like
Yeah.
it won't matter to her
Yeah.
at all.
So I have
because
a
they're real.
cross theory between both of y'all. Kinda. Maybe. Maybe something.
What's yours?
So, get the aliens. And yeah, you got the big feats. Maybe. Maybe. So back in the day, when that ice age happened, aliens are probably around, right? Maybe they're like, oh, these things seem kind of interesting. Let's take them up to our spaceship.
Let's save them.
Yeah, let's save them. These
Like
are the most,
preserve 'em.
yeah, these are the
Maybe.
most intelligent beings. Let's save them because some fuck shit going on. Bring them down, and then when things got better, they bring them down slowly, so because they're experimenting
Acclimate.
on 'em. And then maybe they had the Bigfoot got the aliens gave them like
Oh.
technology or taught them how to phase and shit. That's how they can do
Maybe
it.
kind of how we release animals back into the
Yeah,
wild after
exactly.
we've rehabilitated them.
So what if versus Bobby's terrible plan?
I was just spitballing.
So
You were trying to find the best of both worlds, like
Yeah.
Hannah Montana.
let's say you believe
Jesus Christ.
in the Anunnaki creation tale. Basically, aliens came down, genetically engineered us from whatever primates were here, and we evolved to what we are. What if in that process there were offshoots? So you have like Homo florentia, Gigantopithecus, Homo erectus,
Oh, and remember in those tales that they did have failed experiments before us.
Australopithecus.
Yeah.
What if the reason that they're seen together is because they're just kind of checking up on one evolutionary branch to see how far they've come?
Yeah,
Like they just show up and be like, "Hey, what's up, big feet?" Or whatever they call them.
yeah.
Still living in the woods like an asshole? Get out of the craft. Like the end. Like,
Yeah.
Now,
because even with, so you look at Travis Walton with Fire in the Sky, And the movie's different than his story. In the movie, they take him on the craft, do a bunch of experiments on him. The real story is he came into the beam of light while they were doing whatever it is they were doing, and it damaged him, and they brought him on the ship to fix him. Yeah. He said they didn't try to hurt him. All they did was fix whatever they had broke.
They rehabbed him, basically.
And then they put him back as close as they could to where they got him. So, like, what if they're just literally checking up on whatever this thing, this branch is, to be like, you alive, homie? Still in the woods.
What an asshole.
Check rocks.
And back to that creation story, they had tried multiple species that were
Different
already
animals,
here.
yeah.
And then they decided, you know what, we're going to have to cross-mingle our own...
Speed up the DNA. Speed up the genetics.
Yeah, our own genomes here to make something smart enough.
Conscious.
But also they kept, like, the subservience so we would work.
Yeah, so we would mine gold.
No,
But I wonder if that's not... Because that to me makes more sense why they would be seen together versus big feet or aliens. What if they're just checking on them? What if they're like, what's going on with this section?
Yeah. Like, you still living in the woods, still shitting under a bush?
Yeah.
No,
Get out.
I have another theory.
Figure it out.
Just came
Haven't
up
taken
Go
over
with it,
from
Bobby.
the humans yet?
What's your other theory?
Okay, so the aliens took a Bigfoot, right? And they didn't know how to face it. Maybe, I'm going to look at Chris dead in the eye when I say this. He's going to fucking slap me.
Probably.
Maybe the aliens and Bigfoot fucked. And because of that, their offspring can face.
Oh, so it's like a hybrid.
Yeah.
So like they procreated and they've taken the genetics of each other. You know what, Bobby? Considering I have no theory and I have no opinion whatsoever, I'm going to back up your theories regardless of what they are.
I'm down. This is great. I'm going to write a book.
I'm going to back it up. I'm like, they fucked and now they can face? I'm down for it.
Your theory's better than his.
Oh, come on. It could work out. Why not?
I mean, it is a creation theory.
Yeah, they're gonna
technically.
fuck.
Sure.
I mean, things get horny, right?
Isn't it like, this feels like, honestly, this feels like we are the two dumbest children and our parents are looking at us like we have...
It's your fault. You were way too lenient.
Yeah. I should have beat the shit. I should have drowned him when he was young.
Even Blue said some bullshit outside the door.
Like, Bobby, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, but I know, but I'm the comedic relief of the podcast. Is what I do.
Or she's out there being like, Heath's right. I've got the proof.
Yeah, I saved him.
And then
listen
she's
to me, you
taking in
fucking.
a
Listen to me, you
replacement.
fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Big feet keep
Meow.
fucking me too. I don't...
Oh,
Oh.
Chris,
that's so
Chris,
sad.
if Bigfoot fucked Boo, her like vagina lips would like drag on the ground.
No, but we would totally be the...
Not only that, but you don't know that. You've never seen Bigfoot's dick.
Yeah, it could be like a gorilla's where it's real small.
But anyway...
Yeah, gorillas have small penises.
I mean, here's the thing about like
do.
cryptids in general. Let's bring it back a little bit.
None of them are real until they're proven.
Well, not even that. What I was saying was, you do have a lot of cryptids that people believe are like are genetically
Modified.
or some sort of weird hybrid of different creatures as it is.
Chupacabra.
So it's very possible that part of Bobby's theory could be correct, or he's fucking stupid at this point. But at the same time.
Ding, ding, ding.
I was about to say, but here's
Rude.
the thing. At the same time, maybe Bigfoot is some sort of like modified thing of a human and a primate or something to that extent that we
possible.
just don't know anything about. Like I said, I don't really have an opinion either way. This is why I like my contribution to this episode is to just either back Bobby up and tell people I like turtles.
I just think the stories go back far enough to where even I say primitive in the the not modern sense. Olden times, people, Native Americans, the Tibetans, they all had stories of these
Yeah.
things.
Even up in Dahlonega, Georgia, there's the big gold rock with the like Sasquatch like throwing rocks down because they called it like the place where the gold rocks fall. I think that's what Dahlonega means or something like that. Because the Bigfoot would like chuck these rocks down at him. Little did he know they were gold.
Well, I don't think he cared.
Yeah.
But
Get off my land.
You look at like those stories, and I don't think it's like a recent crossbreed or whatever. I think it just may be an evolutionary offshoot of whatever we are, and Homo floresiensis, like all these different versions of human beings. Maybe this is just one of them that never evolved the way we evolved.
Hey, you never know. It could be fae folk. Just saying.
True.
I mean, there's the idea that bogies and goblins and all of that exist out in a British folklore. So what if it's just something to that extent as well?
Brits are dumb, and that's not true.
And going back to my own personal experience, I saw something when I was young, like 3 years old. We were at a dirt road off of, where we go hunting. And we were at a crossroads, and my dad was like, I'll be right back. And he walked down the dirt. I don't know. He probably had to pee or something. I'm sitting in the truck, and I look over to the left, and I see something enormous and dark, and it's coming like at a fairly quick pace towards the truck, and I got scared, and my
'Cause it
dad
was
came
dark.
running back. No, Bobby, because it was big, but I was also small, so perspective.
Perception's
But
different.
Yeah.
the fact that he was terrified and run into the truck, and he didn't get a gun or anything, because back in those days you carried your rifles and shotguns
Yeah.
on the back. We like took off like so fast. I remember spinning out, and he was terrified. And
Yeah.
so I don't really remember. That's just like frozen in my memory. I don't remember after that or really before that, but I remember that.
Yeah, big dark shape, and then your dad being
Yeah.
scared because those would stick out.
Yeah, and I'd seen a bear before. I would have recognized a bear,
Yeah.
and I don't think it was a bear. Like the way it was walking,
Could be Dogman.
could be
Sure.
like especially on that side.
Yeah.
It was something. Unfortunately, my dad's no longer here. I really want to ask. Even as an adult, when I'd ask him about it, he would never answer me.
Well, I always wonder, like, especially with like the Bigfoot sightings and stuff, how many of those are people seeing like bipedal bears, like bears that are walking, or
Yeah.
maybe they have the mange and their hair's kind of screwed up or matted,
Yeah.
because that happens. Like
Right.
animals get mange, raccoons get it, and they look terrifying. So bears get it. Like maybe they have some sort of weird mite that makes their hair fall out. I don't know. I always look at the stories like there's something towards that end. Like maybe typically if you can't recognize it, it doesn't mean it's something new. It just may be sick or dying or have something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And that happens a ton. But you do hear the occasional stories where it's somebody that lives in the woods or has been out there their whole life and knows what's going on. And they're like, no, this was clearly a Bigfoot. And you're like,
Yeah.
I can't figure out why this guy
Right.
would lie. Like,
Yeah.
what's to be gained?
Like as a kid in a memory, it honestly probably was a bear, like maybe an aggressive bear. Who knows? Or maybe it was a person.
Yeah, it may have just been.
And like as a kid, everything's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like in a ghillie suit. Like I don't know. Maybe out there hunting.
What's a ghillie suit?
it's the sniper suits with all the stuff hanging
Yeah, it makes you look like you're a
And-
bush.
Gosh.
Yeah. I mean, there's some crazy folks out that way.
Fortnite stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, you never
Oh.
know.
Hi.
But no, like I mean, that's the kind of stuff you'll never, unless you happen to stumble across that memory in like photographic perfection, you'll never know. It'll
Yeah.
just always be a question.
Yeah.
Well,
I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
I feel like it was more like we should have had like the buzzers for the debate. Like
Nuts.
and you would have just had to like censor yourself. That's really all
I just cut Bobby's hand off so he can't
Yeah.
get the buzzer.
No, you just unplug my mic.
Here's the thing. Whatever the theory is, can we all agree that there's probably something out there we just don't know anything about?
There's absolutely a ton of things out
Yeah.
there we don't know anything
Agreed.
about.
Probably literally out there right now listening to us like, these motherfuckers are
Everybody,
so stupid.
like, there's this weird thing where about 2,000 animals a year go extinct, but we also discover like 50 or 60
Yeah.
a week.
Right.
New ones that we didn't even know about. So, like, there's this thing in nature where nature always balances itself out one way or the other.
Yeah.
So it'll never just go away unless we nuke the earth. And even then, microbes will take back over. Like, there's always a balance. It may not be the balance we like, but there's always a balance. So there's a ton of things we don't know about that work in their ecosystem perfectly.
I was about to say, I mean, first off, the Marianas Trench exists.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's down there because we'll never be able to get down there.
If you watched Kong versus Godzilla, clearly.
That's Hollow Earth, and I was just about to make the
There
joke,
are kaiju.
Bobby.
Well, fucking hurry up and make
Well,
it.
even then, you look. There are feathered shrimp in the deepest part of the ocean that we found. No one has any clue why they have feathers, but they do.
Hey, Chris, we should cook those up. This probably tastes pretty good. Maybe like chicken.
I mean, they may be. I don't know. I've never had one,
Well,
but
here recently they discovered a cat species.
Yeah.
It's tiny, but it's a cat. Like, how does an adorable cat go unnoticed? Because they didn't want to be seen.
Yeah.
They named some species they found, I don't know where, and they named it after Nightwish and Flora Jansen.
Nice.
Like, because they were, at the time, Endless Form's Most Beautiful had just come out and talking about, like, species, and
That's
they're like,
awesome.
I love this. I was
Was it
like,
a cat species?
no, it was, like, some sort of, like, small, like, bird species
Oh.
of some
That's
sort.
still cute.
I mean,
I
whatever.
think-
There's a ton of animals we discover every year.
Yep.
New versions, constantly.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, do I want to see a Bigfoot? Like, I do, and at the same time, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Because you also hear the stories about Bigfoot. He doesn't like you very much. All the people who go missing, they can't all have just walked off the trail and disappeared.
We can do an episode on that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it, because I just want to know.
It could be an expansion of our Missing 411 episode.
You mean the
What is
one
that
that
cat
everybody
doing?
hates
Hate it,
so
yeah.
much?
Yeah.
But what I will say is, This is supposed to be a lead up to us going Bigfoot hunting sometime this summer.
Yeah. And I will pose, before we close the episode with our shameless plugs, listeners, I propose you a question. Does Bigfoot use unicorn horn as a dildo or not?
Why do you exist on this podcast sometimes? Why do you exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, or
You know-
make a poll.
Let's talk about this.
Like, do they have sex toys?
Yeah.
3 years ago.
I mean, we have found that apes use sex
Yeah.
toys. They like pleasure themselves.
3 years ago at Dragon Con. Hey, Bobby, you know it'd be fun. You should join our podcast. Thanks, Bobby.
Hey, you fucking invited me. You can kick me off anytime.
No, it's too late
No.
now.
Yeah.
Just keep
You're
demoting
ingrained now. People don't even remember the other hosts we used to have at this point.
Well, because I'm wholesome.
Yes.
You got a hole,
that's-
definitely.
I do like them holes. In the secret fourth hole is the best one.
On
Wait,
that
what?
note.
Hold up. Where's the secret fourth hole?
Can't tell you. It wouldn't be a secret.
God damn it.
Oh,
I fell right into that.
yeah, you did. You fell
Get
right
it?
into
I
that.
fell in it.
Oh, my
Secret
God.
hole.
Can you start the plugs, please?
Hey, Becky, where can they find us?
You can find us.
Pornhub.
No. You can find us on Facebook at The FreeRotation Podcast.
OnlyFans.
You can find us on Twitter at The FreeRotation. We're also on Twitch and YouTube at The FreeRotation. You can check us out at Weeby Geeks. Check out all the great podcasts over at WeebyGeeksPC.com.
No, it's called something different now.
It is something different now.
Forum something.
You can Google it.
Consortium.
And we are on all of your favorite podcasting apps. And you can check out our backlog at
Except for
TheFreeRotation.com.
SoundCloud, right?
Got one sound on a SoundCloud. That's about it. We literally have one sound. But hey, check it out.
Have a good weekend, guys. Let your pussy fly free.
I like how you say have a good weekend when this is released on a Tuesday.
Yeah, fuck it.
Have a good
So
week.
have a good
Whatever.
weekend. Wherever, you know what? Some people, this could be Tuesday, could be their weekend.
Yeah, they get Tuesday, Wednesday
Yeah.
off.
You're so judgy.
But by
Becky.
the
Bye,
name,
Becky.
by nomenclature of weekend is
Bye.
the end of the week.
It's the
Okay.
end of their work week.
Becky, you get it. You have a law degree.
Free rotation.